Welcome to the International Souls Podcast. Here, we have valuable conversations with leading experts in their field. I'm your host, Eryck, and each week I sit down with people who dare to dream bigger, act braver, and build lives that inspire. You'll hear real stories, lessons learned, and expert insight from across industries and cultures, each one driven by purpose. This show is about leaving the good for the great, taking a leap of faith. Here we go. Guys, welcome to the International Souls Podcast. Today's guest is a friend of mine, is the radiant Martina Salling, a certified coach, a somatic healer, a human design expert. From the Canadian West Coast to the jungles of Tulum where we've met, she made alignment her way of life. We're diving deep into the power of human design today, how somatic coaching brings wisdom back into the body, and how both can help us break cycles, regulate our nervous system, and live fully in our truth. Martina, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, I'm very excited to be here as well. So we've met a few years in Tulum, and I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago. We instantly connected through, just very similar values, from movement to wellness to you and Jonathan, his soulmate, her soulmate, his man.
Yeah.
Been together for what, 10 years now, I think, 11
10
years or
years.
10
Yeah.
years. Just like Dominic and I, and we love couple that just, are capable of going through the two lives together, and very inspiring. So I felt like we kicked it off from the beginning. And here we are today on this podcast, and I'm very excited. For those who are not really familiar with who you are, or maybe your line of work, could you describe yourself today, maybe who you are and what's your mission, what type of work you're offering to this world?
That's a great question. Yeah. So my mission's really always been to just feel my best and then help other people do the same. Like, I just want to see everyone being healthy and happy, doing what they love with purpose in the world. And, purpose, I feel like for so many people, there's such a range. It really doesn't matter at the end of the day, because I think that the most powerful thing is our frequency and our vibration. So as long as you are doing what you love, you're going to, send a frequency out that just elevates those around you and then ultimately all of humanity.
Mm,
Does that kind of answer your
yeah.
question?
Do
Yeah.
you feel like we are in a purpose crisis in this world, or you would say the opposite?
It really depends on, I guess, where you go, right? So when I was living in Canada, I felt like a lot of my surroundings, people weren't really living in purpose. I found a lot of, especially being right in the middle of a downtown city, people are just in this hustle mode, going to some office building, sitting up in a high rise, and not feeling connected to what they actually want to do. They're just showing up kind of on autopilot. And so, being in that space where it feels like people are kind of unconscious, I feel like that's really disconnected from our purpose. And I felt,
Mm,
even having that awareness, but being in that environment, it just wasn't doing it for me, because I was doing all the right things for my health and wellness, meditating, going to the sauna every week, exercise, nutrition, all of it. And I just still didn't feel great. When I came to Mexico, it was a whole different situation. And I found like the people that I connected with here were also just living so much more intentionally and consciously and
mm,
living in their purpose with more abundance as well.
mm. Beautiful. Can we talk about that, actually? Because I find it fascinating, people who leave their comfort zone and leave their house. It's definitely not the easiest thing to do. A lot of people think about it, but then when it comes to putting in the work and the action, and also just manifesting it and doing it, it's a whole different ball game. It's a whole different decision making. So, what was the initial seed that was planted for you to move out of beautiful? Was it in Vancouver that you guys lived?
Vancouver Island.
And Vancouver Island,
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah, I mean, it's one of the. I
Yeah.
think it's beautiful place. It's a great place to, just in general in Canada, people move to come here. And
Hmm.
now you're willing to move out and to go to Mexico. So, what was the seed that was planted, and why did you actually start it and choose Mexico?
I mean, I had the intention to move somewhere tropical for many years before I actually did.
Okay.
And I mean, you're right. I mean, it's a beautiful place. It's absolutely gorgeous. I do miss the hiking there. That was probably my favorite kind of outdoor thing to do that I can't really do here because
Yeah,
it's so
it's quite
flat.
flat.
Yeah.
Super flat.
Nowhere to hike. But the beaches, like ever since I can remember, I remember when I was 5 years old, we got like a home computer. And so we were setting like the background and the screensavers. And I was like, oh, tropical beach sunset with palm
Yeah.
trees. And the screensaver was like the underwater, tropical fish. And then I remember being 6 years old in school, we had to do a project on like any country in the world. And I chose Costa Rica. And I don't even know how I knew about Costa Rica, but I just knew tropical jungle, beaches, palm trees. Like I was always obsessed with palm trees, which we don't have on Vancouver Island. So there was always this part of me that knew that I wanted to live somewhere tropical. I just felt like I would just absolutely thrive there. And then going on a few vacations growing up to Mexico, to Hawaii. Again, like for me, that was just absolute paradise. I love the sunshine. I would wait all year for summer and it would last 2 months. And then even growing up, I remember getting mad at my mom for for the fact that I was born in the fall because I had to have a fall birthday, which was rainy and dark, right in the, end of October. And I'm like, why is my brother born in the middle of summer? This is not fair. Like, I want to have a birthday party in the sunshine. That sounds way better. So I guess, yeah, I just always felt like I was a tropical soul. And then I can't remember, was it late 2022 or 2023 when a friend of mine invited me to Tulum? And I had been following my human design strategy, which for me, it's my sacral centers, my authority, and it's this energy of responding. So for me, I have this ability to have like instant clarity if something is meant for me or not. So having that awareness and then practicing living in alignment, my friend said, hey, I'm going to Tulum. Do you want to come? And I just had this like burst of energy. I felt like, yes, this is like my sacral telling me to go. And it was just going to be a 1 month trip. So, of course, I just packed a suitcase for 1 month and my boyfriend stayed home in Canada. And I was like, see you in a month. But once I got to Tulum, I hadn't had a return flight booked yet because I just thought I'll book it when I get there. But then I didn't want to book my return flight because I just felt like I was thriving.
Hmm.
And yeah, that's kind of how it all started.
Incredible. I love that. I think that's kind of when we met actually, because Jonathan was
Mhm.
not there, and
Mhm.
you were writing solo. I love that. If so, you talked about something in terms of human design, and for me, it's quite new human design for me. It's something I wasn't quite aware of, but now I've been really, deep diving into it. So let's talk about that a little bit and how it seems like it impacted your life and your decision to move to Tulum as well, being in line with that. So for those who have never heard of human design, can you just tell us what it is? And let's just start like with the what, and then we can break down the different layers.
Definitely. So I see it as like a self-discovery tool similar to astrology, which a lot more people are familiar with. And human design actually does take your astrology chart into account. And it just it's like another chart with multiple layers. So it's combining different ancient wisdoms. So we have again astrology, the chakra system, the I Ching, the Kabbalah, and quantum physics all coming together to give us this chart that really shows us a lot of our uniqueness. And then what I love so much about it is we can apply it to our everyday life. So the only information that we need to get this chart is your birth date, time, and location. And once we have that information, it just kind of, yeah, it populates this chart that shows, where all the planets were at the time that you were born, and then how those energies are impacting you throughout your life.
So does it really, because, okay, so I'm trying to put myself in the audience. And for those who this might be, a bit out there, how can, how can it affect if I'm born, let's say here in Montreal, the state, the planet is, what does that has to do with anything? Like, I don't know if you have an answer
Great
for that, but
question. Yeah, of
yeah.
course. Yeah. I mean, we're mostly made up of water, right? Our bodies are, I can't remember the percentage of water, but mostly water. And the planets, like we have an electromagnetic charge. And so where these planets are moving around, they're impacting just the collective, right? Like we're all being impacted by where the sun and the moon and all the other planets are on a daily basis. So when the day that you're born, that's when you become conscious. And so it's like, you're emerging into the world. So that's why we like to have, as precise of time as possible. Those planets are imprinting their energy upon you. And so that becomes part of your consciousness. Does that make sense?
It does. So you're capable with knowing the exact time, birth, and location, which planet was where at that specific time and space.
Yeah. I mean,
And hmm,
what we look at is like what sign it was in. So there's
okay,
like the 12 zodiac signs that most people are familiar with. And
okay.
then human design breaks that down even further.
What's an
So we
example
look,
of like zodiac sign? Just so for those who are not familiar, what's an
yeah,
example
of
of that?
course. So you're an Aquarius. So we've got Aquarius.
Yeah.
I'm a Scorpio,
Okay.
right? We've got
Okay.
Capricorn, Cancer, Gemini, all those.
Okay. Okay. So you put that into consideration in the chart.
It's in there, exactly. And
Okay.
so if you think of like when we look at the zodiac chart or the astrology chart, it's like a wheel. So we've got all
Okay.
those different signs, and it'll show, okay, the sun was over here when you were born, right? The moon, Venus, Mercury, Mars, and all of those, which that in itself shows how like multifaceted we are, because you could meet somebody else who's an Aquarius, and that doesn't mean that you're the same, because you've got all the other aspects of your chart that are going to give you your unique way of being.
Hmm. So would you say there's a difference between astrology, let's say personality tests or other systems than human design, or is it just a big melting pot of all these tests that created human design? I'm just trying to see like what's the difference between if I go see an astrologer or if I go have a session with you. Would I
Mm.
get the same information, or will I go maybe deeper levels with you? Or
That's a great question. So, human design does use astrology to calculate its chart. So, when we
okay,
look at the gates portion, especially of your human design, there's 64 of these gates, which are like activated energy centers, and they all correlate with the 12 zodiacs. But since there's 64 gates and 12 zodiacs, that means there's approximately five or so gates within each zodiac. Right? So again, you're an Aquarius, but your activated gate that's in your conscious sun position might be different than somebody else you meet who's an Aquarius, because it changes every couple days in that sun position. So that's going to give you one layer of uniqueness. And from the astrology perspective as well, I also love looking at that system on its own. And I would say that I use it mostly in that context for kind of what's happening as time goes by. Right? So the human design chart is more of like, this is how you operate just throughout your life. And then that can show up in different ways, of course. But then with astrology, I like to look at what's called transits. So as like right now, we just entered into Libra season recently. So the sun is currently in Libra. And so that's going to be impacting all of us. So there's going to be different kind of phases that we go through. And that's what I like to use astrology for.
so okay, we're just getting started. I'm excited to to deep dive because I know you're really into human design, and I'm sure you'll be able to clarify a lot for all and anyone who's listening. So that when we did our human design, you told me about the different types, right? And I
Mhm.
believe is it five that there is
5
total?
types.
Five.
Yeah.
So can we just maybe break it down with the five types that each of us does have at least one of those types,
Mhm.
right? And then maybe we can, second question would be maybe just like a macro. understanding of each type, if that's possible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. So there's
Okay.
5 energy types is what we call them.
Okay.
And you're only going to fall into one of those categories because it depends on certain parts of your chart that are activated that's going to determine what your energy type is. So I'll start with the most common ones. And there's actually 2 that are the most common. So there's a generator and there's a manifesting generator.
Okay.
So each of these on its own makes up about 35% of the population. And I'm a generator. So we are characterized by having a defined sacral center. And the sacral center is one of 4 motor centers in the chart. And it happens to be like the most active motor. So we're the ones who are here to, we're just on the go. We're doing things, but we're meant to do what we love to do. So it's kind of like it's a center for like work and life force energy is what we call it. And again, it's not just like we're not just here to do any work, but it's work that we love. And that's what actually gives us energy. The difference between a generator and a manifesting generator is that usually a manifesting generator will be kind of collecting like a broad range of skills over their lifetime because they're gonna, we get activated by something that feels exciting for us. Right. And so every type has a strategy. The strategy for both of these types is to respond, which means we don't necessarily need to come up with an idea in our head of like what we want to do and what's going to make us happy. We get to just focus on feeling good. And then we become more magnetic for the things that are going to bring more of that joy and energy into our lives. So basically, the example of when I got invited to come to Tulum was a perfect example of me responding, right? My friend says, "Do you want to go to Tulum?" And my sacral goes, "Yes," because I feel my posture change. Suddenly I have a burst of energy. That's my body communicating with me through that sacral center. Okay. So for a generator, again, it's like we're going to go kind of usually deeper into one thing that we really love. So for me, that's just been personal development from a couple different angles. I like to always look at things from a holistic perspective. So I started my career actually as a personal trainer, and I got really deep into understanding like physical well-being. And then I learned a lot about nutrition, gut health. And then when human design and astrology came into my world, that kind of became like the next thing that really captivated me. And I couldn't stop studying it. And I just got deeper and deeper over about 5 years of studying the system. And so that's another example of me as a generator just getting really into what I'm doing. And then it doesn't feel like work, but it's one of those things that I could just do for hours without stopping. And then I look at the clock and go, okay, I should probably, make some dinner or go to bed, right?
If you're a generator and I feel like you're very aligned, so that's why you're capable of going that specific route in development. If you see a generator that is unaligned, will it be still going but just draining itself? Like what would be the opposite of a generator? Because I feel like I'm seeing some of that in my surrounding.
Yeah.
Not some of that, but just like that specific type of people who are constantly going. But every time I see them every few months, it seems like they're drowning in their own go, go, go and energy versus I feel like you're very aligned and thriving. So h- have you seen both? Like, is it possible to be in both, like either thriving or on in line?
I love this question. Yes, that's a great observation because, and this is actually a big part of what I love to help people with is burnout for that exact
Mm,
reason. Because if we're doing the wrong thing, like as a generator, if I'm giving my energy to the wrong thing, that's more of like an obligation, that's going to be completely draining. So it's like I have this full tank of energy that wants to do something that actually feels purposeful. But if I'm saying yes to the wrong thing, now I'm giving my energy away and it's actually going to create more feelings of frustration and eventually burnout as well. And burnout actually looks
mm,
different for multiple types
I
too.
see.
So that's something that we can get into as well.
I would love to get into, I mean, kind of all of it. I'm super excited. If we, just to close the macro side of the generator, would you say, with your experience and people that you've coached, that there's kind of a common archetype of at least professional field that people who are generator, would it be like construction workers or mostly CEOs or artists? Do you feel, without niching everyone in one pot, do you feel like there's certain type for certain profession that just comes out more often?
That's a really good question. Yeah, I'd have to kind of probably reflect on that a little bit more to see
Okay.
a pattern in that place, but now I'm
Okay.
curious.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, but it's
Okay.
more so like a generator. It's like if like whatever we love doing, that's what's gonna give us energy, and that's how we know that
Okay.
we're on the right track. So if a generator is full of energy, loving what they do, it's as simple as that.
Okay. And same thing for the manifesting generator. Would you say that is that trait is the same for both?
Yes, and the thing with manifesting generators is they tend to get bored easily or more
Okay.
quickly, I should say. So it's like something that lights up a manifesting generator might not light them up for a very long time. And
Okay.
that's totally okay because society would tell us,
Like projects like just new projects all the
yeah,
time, kind of.
exactly. It's like this thing's exciting right now, and then you do that for a few months, and you're like, I'm kind of not loving this anymore. And,
Yeah.
this is where, yeah, society likes to be like, you need to pick one thing and stick with
Mm-hmm.
it. That's how you're going to be successful. It's not true for everybody, right?
Okay.
Especially a manifesting generator.
Mm.
It's kind
Okay.
of like if you've heard of the term shiny object syndrome,
Mm-hmm.
and it's seen as like a bad thing, but I
Kind of,
actually
yeah.
like to see it differently for manifesting generators.
So how would you
Yeah.
see? Because I know I definitely know a few people, without obviously naming names, but that are kind of constantly changing projects, ideas, jumping from ship to ship, and sometimes it can be perceived as, well, they just don't go through what they need, like they just don't finish and they just
Mhm.
jump into it. But I guess the way you're explaining,
Totally.
if you are a generator manifester, then that's just how you are thriving and actually living from your sacral, from your
Yeah.
heart. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And
Hmm.
that brings me to this is why I love the system so much and I want more people to understand it because if we can all collaborate, that's how we can all thrive, right?
Mm.
So again, we're going to tap into the other types a bit more so it
Yep.
makes more
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Um but some types are here to start things and that's it. They're the starters and then they're like, okay, on to the next thing. And
Mm.
which would be the manifester type the mostly there which, manifesting generator kind of shares some of that trait as well as
Okay.
the generating trait, right? That's
So
why they're kind of like
manifestor, that's a new one. Manifestor, that's
manifestor's
a
a new one. Mhm.
okay. So
So
let's
they make up
okay.
about 9% of the population.
Wow.
So a
Okay.
smaller portion.
Okay. Would they feel, would that energy type feel kind of you? Not, I don't want to say that, but like unique. Is it? Because it's 9%. It's not a lot.
It's not a lot. No,
So what's the
exactly.
role? What's unique, or what's how how does it work if you're a manifester, and how can you be aligned and thrive?
Yeah. So manifestors, again, they're kind of like the starters. So they're here to bring new things to the collective.
Okay.
And it's where we all kind of work together, again, if we're living in our alignment. So some of what I explain here might sound a bit generalized, but hopefully you can kind of, extrapolate from that and it shows up differently in everybody's lives. But yeah, manifestors bringing new ideas to the collective. So they kind of imagine like they get a download. They're like, this is a new thing that I want to create. Haven't seen it in the world. And they just go for it. They're like the trailblazers, right? They bring new ideas in and the thing that would slow them down is other people telling them, like, I don't know, like maybe you shouldn't do that. Are you sure? And so their strategy is to inform. It's not to ask permission. It's to be like, hey, this is what I'm doing, but like, please don't get in my way. I find that the manifestors that I meet, they typically tend to be a bit more independent in the way that they work or operate. And their energy comes in waves. So they don't have the defined sacral center, meaning they don't have consistent, like that, 8-hour work energy or whatever you want to call it. Their energy is going to come in waves. So when they have that burst of energy and that kind of download of a new idea, they're meant to just go for it, take off, bring that new idea into the world. And then ideally, that idea is being dropped into other people's awareness. So somebody like me who's a generator that idea drops into my awareness and I go, ooh, that's for me, right? Like I'm meant to take action on that. And as a generator, I have the follow through energy for the thing that brings me that excitement. So you can kind of see how we're starting to all work together,
Hmm.
right? Because then the manifestor goes, okay, I did my job there. I started that thing, but it's not for me to follow through with because they're just a starter. Does that make sense?
I'm trying to. I know, like you answered the question on the first two types, but personally, when you're saying this, I'm trying to like use the system and potentially apply it in a business structure who has a small business or a big one. I feel like manifestors would be mostly founders, like people who just have that initial thought. And I'm gonna ask the question again, but do you see any pattern with manifestors and people who are founding businesses and creating a new project or a new product or bringing that either a vision or something new to this world? Is there a correlation there, or you wouldn't?
Definitely. Yeah,
Yeah, you do.
definitely. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's like where you would see the manifestors. Absolutely. And
Okay.
I'm just trying to think of all the readings that I've done over the years. I've done
Yeah,
hundreds by now.
I'm sure. Yeah.
I would say I actually have done the least for manifestors. And part of me thinks that it's because it's like they don't want to be told what to do, right?
Mm,
So not that I'm trying to tell anyone what to do, because ultimately learning this system helps you to understand yourself better and it actually creates like more permission, more freedom. But I think that sometimes there's a perception that if I tell you, how your chart is, it might feel a bit like limiting. So I
mm.
don't know, that's just like a speculation on my end. I can't say that's what's happening for sure, but it makes me
Yeah,
wonder because I haven't done that many readings for manifestors that I think about it.
interesting. Well, I mean, there's 9%. So if you say a
Yeah.
few hundred, then that's quite normal that there's not as many that walk through your door. So we have manifester, generator. So there's two more types. Can we go through it and also share the macro?
Yes. Yeah. So the next one I'll dive into is a projector. So you're a
Okay.
projector. I've
Yes.
got a few projectors in my life here,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you guys make up 20% of the population. Projectors are really cool because there's also the most variety within projectors. When we look at the energy centers in the chart, there's 9 energy centers altogether, and some of them will be activated, some will be open. And so there's basically the criteria to be a generator is that you've got a defined sacral. The criteria to be a manifester is that you have your throat defined with a connecting with a channel to one of the motor centers. So what's really interesting about projectors is that the criteria is basically that you don't meet those other two, right? So you're not a generator, you're not a manifester. A manifesting generator would have both of those criteria. So projectors have at least 2 centers defined because you can't only have one center defined because a defined center would have to be connecting to another center. That's why they're both defined, which means there's more variety. Does that kind of make sense?
Okay.
Yeah. So some projectors will have like the head center defined, for example, and everything else, the head and the ajna, everything else open.
So
And then other
what does that mean? I'm trying to understand like the whole language of human design,
Yes, of
which is
course.
quite yeah. So
It's a language, yeah.
yeah, it is. I don't want to say I don't want to say like dummy it down, but if I'm trying to understand, because I feel like you're seeing it, you're seeing the chart as we speak,
Yes,
which most of us don't even know what human design is. So if we're
of
just
course.
trying to understand uh, without going too much in the complexity of the subject for now at least,
Mhm.
what would you say would be the common trait or even authority of the projector, and how they can be aligned and thrive and be their best self?
Mhm. So projectors are like the guides, ultimately.
Guides.
So, yeah, it's like you guys
Okay.
can see the vision. Usually, projectors are gonna be like an expert in one topic in general, right? Again, just generalizing here.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever that is that you have taken an interest in, that you've, deep dive and studied, you're going to become an expert in this area. And because you have an open sacral center, meaning that we don't have that consistent physical energy to like be the doer, you're more of like the
Mm-hmm.
visionary, the guide. So it's like you can see the way. And this is again why we all need to work together, because in order to fulfill that vision, you need somebody who aligns with it, that has the
Mm-hmm.
energy to follow through with it,
Mm-hmm.
which would be a generator or a
Mm-hmm.
manifesting generator until they get bored. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like the roadmap, the guide. You're like, I can see the way, but I don't have the consistent energy to like do that all day, every day.
Yeah.
Right. But you're the
Okay.
expert in it.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. And if we so now we have projector, manifestor, manifestor generator, generator. And the last one would be
A reflector.
the reflector. Last but not
1%.
least, 1%.
Yeah, that's
O-
it. I know.
Okay. Are you supposed to be happy if you're a reflector, or is it like a good 1%? Or I don't say good or bad, but
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
unique is a reflector?
They're very unique, and I feel like
Yeah.
they're here for a very unique role because,
Okay.
yeah, it's like it's a very, very interesting energy type, right? So when
Okay.
we again, if you were to see the chart with its 9 energy centers, some are colored in, some are white because it means they're open. Reflectors have no colored centers on their chart. All their energy centers, 9 of them, are completely open, which means that those open centers are where we take in energy from other people. So reflectors are taking in energy from everyone else around them.
It's like
So
hypersensitive.
exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, it's not good or bad. It's like we have to just really learn to appreciate ourselves for the qualities that we have and the roles that we're here to play, right? But
So what
yeah,
would that be?
reflectors.
What
Mhm.
would that be? So I'm trying to understand what's the perk of absorbing everyone's energy. Is it to I don't even know if there is like what's what's the good side of that?
I see it more as like a service role. This
Yeah.
is just my perspective of it. So it's
Yeah.
like the name reflector, it's like a mirror, right? So when you are talking to a reflector, they're taking in your energy and they can feel what it's like to be you in that moment because they're taking in your energy. And then as you're communicating with that person, you might feel like you're just talking to yourself. It's a really interesting experience. I've met a couple of reflectors and you just feel like they get you. You're like, wow, this person just fully understands me. I feel so seen, so heard, so understood by them. And yeah, they're that's kind of their energetic job, right? Is to reflect people's energy back to them. So they can help you see yourself in a way that you might not have otherwise,
Mm.
which can then help you to self-reflect, right? They also have, because they are sensitive and they're kind of taking in all that energy, they can get an idea for like, what's good and what's not good for humanity. They're really tapped into like the collective energies. And they also need to make sure they take a lot of alone time to recharge because, again, it's like if they're taking in all that energy from the environments and the people that they interact with, alone time is the only way to get their system kind of back into balance and into alignment. So, being in nature is also really good for them. And they tend to be really attuned to the moon cycle too.
I didn't know much about the reflector, and it's I'm starting to see like all these different faces and phases in my life of people who are
Mhm.
kind of dare to reflect constantly and were almost mimicking the way I was speaking and moving and dressing. And I think it kind of makes sense now. It's not often, it's not all the time, like but
Yeah.
there's definitely a few people who it does feel good, like it's a feel good to have someone who kind of look up to you like in that type of way and reflects and is constantly there. I think it must be important to know if you are a reflector to actually know it. versus kind of
Yeah.
living in life being. I mean, I feel like for all of
Mhm.
the energy type, but kind of specifically the reflector, so you can understand a bit more why you're so sensitive and why you're feeling what you're feeling.
I
Do,
absolutely agree with that. Yeah.
yeah, would you say
Yeah.
there's compatibility? Is that a word? Trying to like, would you
Mhm.
say there's better matches? Let's say we go in like relationships and couples and like love. Would you say that there's better chances that specific energy type will last for longer, or there's some that would just bump heads and they don't know why, but they're actually just very uncompatible? Is it a thing in human design when it comes with relationships, personal relationships?
Yeah, that's a question that I get a lot. That's a good one.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
Tell
and it's
us.
it's interesting because I can say what I've seen from, different people that I've done readings for and different people that I know in my life. And the theme that I notice there is, yeah, it's very common that I'll see like in so we look at the centers mostly for this one, which does correlate with the types as well. So a generator or manifesting generator with a defined sacral will often see with an open sacral,
Uh,
which is the projector, the manifester, and the reflector. Again, less often I see reflectors because they're only 1%. So
okay.
I'll see that where it's like there's a couple energy centers. So the sacral and the emotional center, I'll see opposites there quite frequently as well. Because about half the population has a defined emotional center, which means you guys are carrying like this emotional charge at all times. I see it like a infinity wave where we've got
Uh-huh.
like highs and lows of emotion, but you're basically you're in your own emotional experience all the time. The other half of us have an open emotional center. So we're taking in that emotional energy from the defined emotionals around us. So I often see a compatibility there because the person with the open emotional center, which that's me in my relationship, it's like we unconsciously we want to feel something. That emotional center that's open is like looking for the defined one, if that makes sense.
Mm.
So there's often a compatibility there.
So let's say if you don't mind sharing, let's say your relationship, you've been together for 10 years, beautiful relationship. What's your energy type and what's your boyfriend energy type?
So I'm a generator and I have an
Okay.
open emotional center.
Okay.
And John is a projector with a defined emotional center.
Okay.
So we kind of
So,
fit both of those opposites that I do see quite often.
and what about if so if you see like generator and generator, would that be a bit too much, or two projectors, like two of the same? Does that tend to work out, or I don't know if you have any like data about that, but does that do anything specific, or
It really depends. Like I wouldn't say that it's a bad thing.
okay,
And I know like from the astrology point of view too, because there's so many layers to all of it.
okay,
There's going to be people who you're like a direct, opposites attract kind of point of view, where it's like the opposite compatible energies kind of filling those opposites.
yeah,
Or we've got similarities, which, you're going to be like, oh, wow, I really connect with this person because we think the same way, like we
same.
feel similar. So there's that point of compatibility as well.
Mm,
And then
I
we've got
see.
people who are similar in the way where, or opposite in the way where it actually triggers us.
Mm,
So it's kind of hard to put like this and this is always good
okay,
because there are so many different facets to our chart. Does that kind of make sense?
yeah, yeah. I mean,
And the
the first one.
person, Mhm.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say the person who triggers us, again, isn't necessarily bad because that might be there to teach us something that we really need to learn in this lifetime too.
I wonder if the trigger though, the teaching us part, if that can be like a sustainable for a long-term relationship, or it's probably
Yeah.
better like a short-term few years, and then you guys. And it probably happened. I had a
Uh,
few 2 3
yeah.
years relationship before meeting Dominique, not a few, but like two,
Mhm.
and obviously it didn't work out because we're not together anymore. And but with Dominique, you mentioned something. uh Dominique, who is my soulmate, for those who doesn't know, she were very, very opposite. And the fact
Mhm.
that we are so opposite, we kind of, I don't know, it just fits. You know, what I'm like the first one that
Yeah,
you
yeah.
mentioned.
It's like the complementary energies, right?
Yeah, generator
Yeah.
and projector, super generator, Dominic. Like if
Yeah.
there's if it could if there was a super generator, she would be a super generator. What
Totally.
we talk about like transformation through human design. What patterns do you see over and over when people discover their design? You know,
The
like
most
once they
common
see
thing.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so oftentimes I'll do a reading for people, and the most common thing I hear is people are just like, "Wow, like, I feel so validated."
Mm,
Because a lot of times, like, the information that I'm sharing, it might not be brand new. Somebody might be like, "Yeah, like, I've always felt that about myself, or I've always known that to be true." But just putting it into words, it's like it gives people that permission slip to be like, "Okay, I'm gonna fully own this part of myself, and I'm just gonna go for it." And, live more unapologetically, which is great. I love that. I love helping people to, yeah, just to really own who they are, their uniqueness, and to live in alignment with that versus trying to fit into this like box that society says, like, do this and don't do this, and this is good and that's not good, and, follow the rules, then you'll be happy one day. I just don't believe that.
do you have you know with all the years, do you have at least maybe one specific story, like a breakthrough of one of your clients that once they known their human design, and because you have different layers and they went through the full sessions with you and they circle back 6 months later and just give you a call saying, hey, everything changed since. Do you have a story, like a small story you could share with us?
That's a great question. I've definitely had feedback where people will say they look at the PDFs that I make, which is I think about 70 or 80 pages once we get through all 4 phases. They'll say
Wow.
they look at it like a year later and they're still getting more
Yeah.
insights from it. Because as we go through life and grow and evolve and, you read the same book, for example, that you read 5 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to hit different. Like you're going to pick up new things
That's
and just
true.
see it from a different lens. So I've kind of heard that a lot with the readings. And there's one client that I can think of. It's more of like a recent example, so not necessarily the reporting back piece, but this woman just had like such a vibrant energy and she was clearly living in such alignment. And so when I explained all the aspects of her design to her, it's like everything just made so much sense. And that was really helpful for her because she could just take that and just feel so much, you know, she was just radiating out this energy. And I was like, "You just have to keep on doing that. Like, keep on doing
Yeah.
what you're doing because you're doing the right thing, and it's gonna be really impacting everyone that you come into contact with in such a beautiful way." So to me, I'm like, "That is really serving your purpose." If you can have that energy rub off onto everyone that you meet, that's
Mm,
massive.
I love that.
Mhm.
You talked about authority earlier, that each energy type has one specific authority. Is it one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
I'd love to talk a little more about that. If we can share, if you don't mind sharing, which energy type and which authority is linked,
Mhm.
and then I'd like to also know. Well, let's start with that, and then we can unfold the rest. So, what's the authority for each type, and then we can talk.
Yes, great question. They're multiple. So
There are
maybe I'll work
multiple
in the
authorities.
same. Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
for each type.
Okay.
So I'll start kind of in the order that I did before. So a
Yeah.
generator and a manifest generator, there's two authorities that we could have, one of the two of. There's the sacral authority and there's
Okay.
the emotional authority.
Okay.
So you'll see typically half and half because about half the population has a defined emotional center. Whenever we have a defined emotional center, that automatically becomes the authority because the authority is all about making decisions. So it's kind of like how we tap into our unique decision making based on our chart.
This is huge,
So
by the way. I love, like, I think it's really important so we can understand how we can really make the best decision based on each authority. So, guys, listen up.
Absolutely. This part's life-changing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because if you're somebody who has a defined emotional center, and I guess that that would include all of the types except for a reflector. Okay, reflectors again are the unique 1%, but you could have a defined emotional center, which is your authority. If you're a generator, a manifesting generator, a projector, or a manifester. Okay, so half the population has that. This basically means that, again, you've got this emotional energy present at all times. And because of that, it could cloud a good decision in the moment, right? Because if you're riding this emotional wave and you're on an emotional high, you're feeling really good. Someone asks you a question and you're like, yes, and you make this commitment. And then you come down from that emotional wave and suddenly you're like, I'm not really feeling it anymore. Like, what did I commit to? Right? That's why with the emotional center or the defined emotional center, the authority, I recommend like taking time for decisions. So let yourself just like feel it out, you know? Don't say yes to something right away. Don't say no either. Just say like, let me just kind of feel it out, get back to you in a few days if possible, because the emotional situation for you is going to change. So you'll get clarity over time and it should just feel like a calm, kind of neutral, clear answer. Not like super excited, not like, not feeling it, but somewhere in the middle. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And you have an emotional authority. So I'm curious if
That's
you
one of the
have,
things that, yeah, it definitely
yeah,
changed the way my decision making. It didn't necessarily change it completely, but I decided to tap into more of letting it marinate a little bit before I could take instant decision. And I thought it was something that I would empower myself to take instant decision on how I would feel in the moment and just empower my intuition.
gotcha. Yeah.
I'm not saying it was always the best way, but that's kind of the way I was rolling. But
Mm-hmm.
now, since we had our session, it was this year actually.
Mm-hmm.
Even the whole summer, I started to step back, take a little bit more time, not like a whole week, probably like at least an overnight, and having a stable, like you said, just a neutral emotional state before going forward. And yeah, it definitely helped. I'm not saying I'm doing it all the time. I still
Mm-hmm.
have some muscle memory of like going instant on the
Yeah.
decisions and catching myself create going forward those decisions while I'm either emotional. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of reflect, I'm like, I could have took a little break, and the delivery of saying that decision to the other person would probably be way different as well. So yeah, definitely a big change for me on how making decision, but also manifesting it and sharing it.
Okay, that's really
Hmm.
cool. Thanks for sharing
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for
Yeah.
real.
Awesome. So, yeah, then we have the sacral authority. So, the
Okay.
sacral authority is something that about half of generators and manifesting generators will have. And we're the only types that are going to have that sacral authority because we're the only types that have the defined sacral center. So, this one is more of like that instant decision maker based on, it's kind of like a gut feeling and it's going to feel like I notice my posture will change, right? It's like an opening when it's a yes, and you start to feel you just feel energized. You just suddenly feel like, "Ooh, I have energy for that," right? If it's a no, it's kinda like, like, there's just no energy there. Or you might if it's like a really hard no, you'll feel kind of like a, cringing feeling in your stomach. So, that one's a pretty straightforward one.
Yeah,
But I will say there is this layer of having a regulated nervous system, which makes it easier to tap into what your body's trying to tell you. Because we're so conditioned to be living from our mind, from like a mental point of view, and
yeah,
making good decisions, being like, make a pros and cons list. And this is a
yeah,
smart decision, and that's not a good decision. We have to kind of unlearn that, which we call deconditioning, right? The ways that we've been conditioned by society. We want to step away from that and come back to the wisdom of our body, which kind of taps into that somatic work as well. And the way that we can hear our body is having a regulated nervous system. So we're in a state of safety is really important for that. then we can kind of tune into those things, those messages that our body is communicating with us.
I think this is a great way to transition into somatic coaching because you kind of just pretty much define
Hmm.
in ways what it is. But well, I mean, in a few phrases, uh, if we go from human design to somatic coaching or just somatic, what's that about? What's that all about? You started with like if I look at your history, you started with personal training and then you evolved with nutrition. So and then slowly went into deeper into the body and now human design somatic. So what's somatic coaching? What is that if you're starting with something a new client, someone who never heard about the word somatic? Why is it so important as well to be aligned with that? And what's your take on that? Yeah.
So the word somatic itself refers to being of the body. And so our body just holds so much wisdom, right? Like when you become more aware of it, you start to notice like, oh, I have like some tension in my left hip or, my right trap or something like that. We're going to start to be more, that this term of like becoming more embodied is a huge part of it because when we're in our head, we're not really aware of what's going on in the body. And it can be easy to just ignore the signals. And eventually your body kind of becomes numb, right? So for me, it's been absolutely life changing because I'm super sensitive. I've always had a really sensitive body. And I used to kind of see that as like a weakness, like, oh, I can't do this because I'm so sensitive, or, I can't eat this food because I'm so sensitive. And so when I got into somatic work, it really showed me how being sensitive can actually be a superpower. The more sensitive you are, the more attuned you are. If I eat something that's like, ultra processed fast food, which I don't eat, but let's say I were to eat that, my body's not going to feel very well. It's going to tell me, like, oh, like this does not digest very well,
Mm-hmm.
headache, fatigue, stomach cramps, whatever that might be. And I see that as actually being a good thing because my body's not meant to digest food that isn't real. So if it's communicating with me, that's a good thing, right?
Mm.
And when I eat whole, fresh, vibrant foods, I'm going to digest that well and I'm going to feel good. I'm going to have energy because of that. So that's just kind of an example of being attuned with the body, which is a really important part of somatic work. So when I introduce clients to somatic work, it's really like I usually guide them through a bit of a relaxation where
Okay.
we, close our eyes. Starting with the breath is really, really helpful
Mm.
because our breath kind of bridges that gap between like our mind and our body.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the thing that we can consciously control that also just physiologically, our breath is connected to so many different processes, right?
Yeah.
So, our nervous system being a huge part of that, when our nervous system
Mm-hmm.
is ramped up, we're in fight or flight mode, which is a lot of people if we're not aware of it. Your heart rate and your breathing rate is going to be really rapid and even shallow breathing rate. So, when we can intervene by consciously slowing the breath down, we can actually change the physiology where we can shift our nervous system into more of a calm place, right? The parasympathetic rest and digest, where your organs can repair and function better. So we start with the breath, just breathing, slowing that breath, especially slower exhales makes a huge difference here.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just kind of draw our awareness like through different parts of our body. I like to start from the top of the head and then come down the face. And I'll just guide, relaxing your forehead or your eyebrows. Because
Mm.
sometimes we hold
So
tension
much
and
tension
all,
here.
right?
Oh my God. Yeah. That's,
And until someone says that part of the body, then you're like, oh, yeah. And you
yeah.
consciously realize that you were holding tension there, right? We come down the jaw is another big
Mm.
one, the neck. Sometimes they'll even encourage somebody to just gently massage the neck and the jaw just to kind of take that tension out, right? We're breathing, we're consciously relaxing the body. The chest holds a lot of tension too, because that shallow breathing, anxiety, right? So we want to open up through the chest, relax, let your arms fall heavy. The diaphragm, the rib cage, we want to breathe deeper and widen through that area, softening the abdomen, the hips, everything. feeling like relaxed, like let your spine kind of rest into your chair and everything as well. Drawing your feet down into the earth is a great way to just feel more grounded. So once we're in that place, and then people feel a lot more calm, they're not racing thoughts anymore. They're just like, okay, I feel grounded in my body. Then we can start to ask questions, So, what's going on? Like, what are you working on? Or what do you want to get some clarity on? And, confidence is a big thing that I work on with people. So maybe they're like, I just don't feel confident, right? Then I'll ask, like, where do you feel that in your body? So even when they just say that out loud, they might start to feel a certain part of them. Usually it's the solar plexus in this case. They might just feel this kind of like tightness in the solar plexus. So we kind of go into that and we can ask more questions. And then suddenly there's this clarity of like, oh, yeah, when I was 5 years old, this person told me I was stupid. And that's, squashed my confidence for this many years. So we kind of gain clarity on what the root cause of this issue is and then how we can heal it. It's usually comes from childhood, like 9 times out of 10. Mhm. Yeah.
Wow. So so I feel like there's a lot of energy work as well, the way you're describing it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Definitely. Everything is energy.
Mm.
Everything. Yeah.
If
And
if so, say
it's like
if someone new
stored in our
would come
body.
and if someone new would come to see you, would you obviously I'm guess you would ask a question but and assess, but would you start with the human design first and then transition into your somatic coaching techniques, or you would start with vice versa, like the opposite?
Yeah, I love starting with human design first
Yeah.
because it gives us this understanding. It gives me the understanding of the person I'm working with, and then it gives them this deeper understanding of themselves with some different perspectives on all parts of them. When we get into we start with the energy type with human design, and then we get into the energy centers. The third phase is like the gates and the channels, which is a very dense subject. There's a lot to unpack there. Each of those gates has an energy that's like a high expression or a low expression. So this part really leads us nicely into the somatic work because if someone's super aligned, they're going to be like, yes, I really resonate with this high expression and I feel like I'm practicing that in my everyday life. Right. And then if they're not so aligned and we see like, okay, the low expression or the shadow is actually more present in this person's life right now, it kind of is like a shortcut into like, what are all the shadows that you're operating from? And now we can then locate that in the body, right? Like, okay, where is this like fear of being seen, for example? Where is that
Mm-hmm.
showing up in your body? And how can we, explore that a little bit deeper?
Mm. You did mention earlier about burnouts, self-sabotage, shadow patterns. Uh, so you can actually break those patterns with somatic and human design. Like you can just you've witnessed someone who came to you with those specific, again, burnout, self-sabotage, uh, which is kind of a big theme nowadays. Also high
For
anxiety,
sure.
high stress. So you feel like this could be a good way and good strategy for people who are living in those state of like all the time, to have a few sessions with
Definitely.
you and to walk through the whole process.
Yeah, it can definitely be very helpful because I hear so many people that they're like, why am I like this? Why do I
Yeah.
care so much about this? Like, what if I could just not care? Like, it'd be so much easier. And I'm like, well, because you have this gate activated, of course you care. And it's not a bad thing. It's just that if we're operating from the lower spectrum of that energy, that's where it's going to have those negative impacts on our life. So we can also transmute that energy by it's like it shows you the antidote, right? It's like, well, if this is the low expression of that gate, the antidote is literally being in the higher expression of it. But we have to have
Mm,
that conscious awareness, which is where human design comes in as such like a helpful tool. It's like breaking down, it's showing us the way. It's kind
mm,
of like it feels like you're cheating sometimes because you're like, wow, that was easy
mm.
to identify all these things, versus guessing and wondering why.
Mm. That's beautiful. I have just a few more questions on a personal note, and then I'll follow up with a few lightning round, and we can call it a day, okay, Martina? So I really appreciate your time. Let's talk a bit more about you, okay? So now we've mentioned a lot about your expertise and your coaching, and I thought I really think it's fascinating. And I want to know, like, you personally, and Dominique told you this, I told you this already before, but for us, you're someone who really, like, when I said the introduction, like, radiant, I feel like you're very radiant, very, very beautiful inside and out, and embody a lot your feminine side, which is, I think it's nowadays there's a lot of women who are embodying more their masculine side, and I think it's great to see you and just like very consistent with that. And what's your current, my question is, what's your current like morning ritual and evening ritual that you do in your self-care to, to show up, to show up as you do on a daily basis?
Thank you so much. Yeah, I really appreciate
Yeah,
that. It's
yeah, a pleasure.
it's been a big, I guess, conscious focus in my life to, yeah, to just be more in the feminine, which I think has always been a bit more natural for me. Um, but yeah, when I got into this somatic work a few years ago, and it just gave me so much more awareness of the nervous system. It's funny because I kind of joke around how people would ask me like, "What's your hobby?" or whatever, and I'm like, "Self-care." Like I don't know, like I just it's what I do in my free time. So I love every morning and evening using a
Yeah.
dry brush for the lymphatic system. That's just become a staple
Oh,
of
what? A
mine,
dried brush?
a dry brush. Yes,
Okay.
you haven't heard of a dry brush?
No. Should I?
That's okay. I think it's
What
amazing, yeah.
what is that?
Yeah. So it's like a mine's like a wooden, handle, and then it's just got these, like, bristles, and you brush your body all the way towards your heart, so you can do, like, your legs upward, your arms towards the center. I use it for my gut health as well, so I'll go in, like, a circle clockwise on my abdomen. I do
Really?
this morning and night. It's like I just feel incomplete if I don't do it. You go
Okay.
down your neck as well for it's just for lymphatic drainage because we have all these
Really?
lymph nodes around our body.
Yeah.
And the lymphatic system became a huge focus of mine because being a sensitive person and also having a history of autoimmune issues, I've just kinda had to take extra
Mm,
steps for my self-care. And so I found that by, yeah, just, like, keeping that constant movement going, it just helps to cycle out toxins because the lymphatic system kind of, like, carries waste, right? Yeah,
would
so
you say
that's
it has similar effect to like foam rolling, or
foam rolling can definitely help with that too, for
but
sure.
would you say like that's what I'm getting, but does it has
Yeah.
actual benefit like on the skin? Does it get rid of something on the skin, or is it really more about the lymphatic system?
That's a great question. Yeah, the foam roller also does help with the lymphatic system because really any kind of movement is going to help with your lymphatic system. I would say foam rolling is more specific to the fascia, but dry brushing also helps the fascia. So I think both tools are awesome. I absolutely love foam rolling as well. That's been a
Okay.
huge game changer in my life.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's like you're hitting bigger you can only hit certain spots with the
I
foam
see.
roller, right? Like the
Okay.
larger areas, which is
Yeah.
fantastic. But
Okay.
then I can get kind of the more, like, finer areas, like around the neck and
Yeah.
kind of behind the
Yeah.
ears.
Probably one. Yeah.
We've got
So
major lymph nodes.
you're just doing like this? You're just like going circles like this, or how do you
It's
apply
like
it?
downward motions. So you always
Downward,
wanna
okay.
open up there's like a lymph node right here, so you can kind of, like, massage this area just above your collarbone, and that kind of opens up the drainage for the upper half.
Okay.
So also for people who get headaches, this can be really helpful too, right? Because it's like we're not getting the fluids aren't like draining and flowing properly in your head. I luckily don't get headaches. I used to in the past before I did
Mm,
any of this work. And then we can also massage like behind the ears a little bit too, in that kind of soft spot there where the jaw meets the ear. And then with my dry brush, I have like a smaller, softer one that I use for this area, but I'll kind of go down. I'll do about 10 strokes on one side 10 on the other side. I do 10 for each side of the jaw. And then I kind of just like go down here as well. And it just helps that circulation So in the morning, that can be a great way just to feel like any of the puffiness that might be in your face, it kind of drains away.
Mm.
Yeah.
So you do that
I
every
mean,
day,
I do it every day. Yes.
every morning and every evening?
Definitely every morning,
Morning. Okay.
sometimes in the evenings.
Okay. Okay.
The
I
one I
love
use for
this.
my yeah, the one I use for my
Yeah.
body, it's got, like, more, intense bristles on it. Mine
Okay.
actually has, like, copper bristles too. So the
Wow.
first few times I used it, I was like, "Ow, this kinda hurts," right? But I
Yeah.
actually you kinda get used to it, it doesn't hurt anymore. You
Okay.
don't need to apply very much pressure either. It's just very light. The lymphatic system responds to light pressure. But that would be one of my biggest secrets there, because it's
So
also
what
for
else? I'm curious. I feel like there's more we should know here. So there's the dry
Yeah.
brush, lymphatic. What else
Yeah.
is in there in the morning that you're kind of like, let's try to say like current, not like 2 months ago, but like actually right now, what's
Mhm.
your non-negotiable that whatever kind of day you have, this is part of the routine.
I mean, the first thing I do is my skincare. The first thing
Okay.
before I brush my teeth too, like, I get out of bed
What does
and
that look like?
I do my skincare. So
And
I wash my face. I like to
okay.
use, like, organic, natural products only.
Okay.
So, yeah, just there's something about I just feel more, like, fresh and, like, more awake and more alert when I just clean my face first thing. Then I'm obsessed with rose water spray.
Okay.
So I have a glass bottle where I put, like, a rose quartz crystal in it, and then I get it filled with rose water. We have, like, a natural refiller here in town, which is my favorite store in town, in Tulum.
Mm.
And I get filled with rose water, and I spritz it on probably, like, way too often throughout the day.
Okay.
But I just love the way it feels, like, it just feels so refreshing and hydrating.
Okay. It's like a toner, or is that is
Yeah,
or
yeah,
okay.
a toner, definitely. Yeah, and just
Okay.
kinda like a refreshing mist, you can really use it anytime.
Okay.
It's amazing. It's got, like, anti-inflammatory properties because rose is full of antioxidants as well,
Mm.
so that's another secret of mine.
Okay.
I started playing around with, like, different oils, and I actually have a formula that I'm intending to get out into the public
Really?
at some point.
Okay.
Yeah, because right now I just have it for myself, which is
Okay.
I really enjoy.
So you put that you apply the oils after
After
the
the
toner,
spray.
like the spray,
Yeah.
like a serum kind of, or
Yeah, actually, I've been using a hyaluronic acid serum.
okay.
So you wanna put that on. It helps your skin, like, retain moisture as well, keeps it really hydrated. Because hyaluronic acid, I'm pretty sure it's each molecule holds, like, 600 times its weight in water. So it's gonna, like, keep that water in your skin.
Okay.
But if you apply it on dry skin, you can actually it's gonna be pulling the water from inside of your body, so it can actually have, like, an opposite effect.
Mm,
So I like to spritz that rose water on, and while my face is still damp from that, then I'll put the hyaluronic acid on so it can kinda
mm,
help retain that moisture, and then I'll put the oil on top because it's kind of like the heavier layer that you wanna have afterwards.
okay. So there's 3 layers.
There's 3 layers, that's what I've been
Okay.
doing recently, yes, that's my
Okay.
formula, and I do that
Okay.
same process morning and evening.
Okay.
At night, I'll usually apply a couple extra creams or serums just for nighttime. I like to really cake on the products, and then my skin can have that, like, hydration overnight.
Okay.
Yeah.
What else? What else? Yeah, I love it. What
What
else we got?
else? What else?
If I mean, it
Mm.
can be yeah, maybe 1 or 2 more if you wanna share, either like from nutrition standpoint or hydration standpoint or your hair or just like, I don't know,
Mm.
movement. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. So
Yeah.
then I'll brush my teeth, and then I like to drink salt water as well. That's my other,
Okay.
like, hydration first thing in the morning.
What kind of salt?
I use a pink salt right now,
Okay.
Himalayan pink salt.
Okay.
To be honest, I don't know what the best salt is.
Okay.
There's such a debate on this, and
Yeah, I know.
because they say, like, sea salt can have microplastics, so don't use that.
So does
Honestly, don't really
so
know.
does pink salt, but it kind of depends on where the
Yeah.
source of the Himalayan sea salt comes from. But yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's where I think, like, Himalayan just comes from the mountains. I don't know how the plastics are getting there. I could be wrong. I don't know, but I like to put a little bit of that into my water bottle, and then I'll just drink that, probably most of it in the morning and then a little bit more throughout the day. And then I have a smoothie that's packed with as many nutrients as I can fit in there.
Okay.
So that is my breakfast. And then normally I would go up onto the rooftop and get some morning sun or go for like a walk to get that sun and movement. But lately I'm taking care of my sick cat. So that's been kind of changing my routines a little bit out of the ordinary. Yeah.
Okay. Amazing. So that's non-negotiable. I like so electrolytes, the face wash, the
Hmm.
serums, the
Hmm.
movement, and that's just helps you just get the day going and optimal.
Exactly. Yeah.
Love it.
Exactly.
Nice. Thanks for sharing that. I'm gonna
Of
look into
course.
like as soon as we close, I'm gonna look into dry brushes and see how I can incorporate that. What like I don't even
Yeah.
know what it looks like, so I'll look into it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me know how it goes.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I mean, I normally get, I know it's not the same, but normally get a lot of like just massages at home, full body
Mhm.
massage like twice a month. He comes here and he goes 90 minutes to almost 2 hours and a lot of foam rolling. But like this, I feel like this is, can really hit like all the small parts that you
Yeah.
mentioned. Okay, Martina, I mean, this was great. I've learned a lot and I hope that the audience really appreciate all the wisdom and how they can take care of themselves. We're gonna at the end of everything. We can. I would love for you to share how we can get in touch with you. But let's do a small lightning rapid question. Okay, so it's going to be about
Mhm.
14 questions, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. Ready?
Okay.
Okay. Are you more a morning or evening person?
That's a tricky one.
Is it? Okay.
It's kinda tricky because I would I like a slow morning, but I also like an early to bed evening. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Okay. I get it. So
Yeah.
both. Let's say both.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, what's your human design type and authority, and one way it shows up in your daily life?
So I'm a sacral generator, and yeah, it reminds me to just lead with what feels exciting. Like, what do I want to do for fun? And that shows up in my everyday life.
Beautiful. One somatic practice that instantly grounds you.
Breath work.
Do you have a specific breath work?
I like it's like the 4-7-8 breath. So you
Okay.
inhale for 4, hold for 7, and exhale for 8. I like
Super
that kind of
relaxing.
longer exhale for more of like a, yeah, calming and grounding.
Mm. Is there a name for that breath work? I'm just curious. Is there like like I feel like there's all like these different names,
There's
but
so many types, right?
yeah,
So
I
many
know.
patterns. I just
I'll
call
look
it the
into that.
4-7-8.
Okay, yeah, that
I
works.
don't
It's
know.
quite straightforward.
Yeah.
Okay, a favorite mantra, affirmation, or phrase you come back to.
I am divinely guided and supported.
Beautiful. Your favorite season,
Summer.
summer. Yeah, from the beginning of this podcast,
Yeah.
it's quite obvious. What book has had the biggest impact on your personal growth?
Ooh, so I love so many books, but I'll say the first one that I read that was really eye-opening, it's called The Code of the Extraordinary Mind.
Oh, okay.
Have you heard of it?
No, I haven't.
I was 20 years old when I read it, and he calls it rules. It's like bullshit rules of
Okay.
society. And for me, it really got me
Mm,
started on this whole like questioning things of like, am I living life based on what I'm supposed to do or what I actually want to do?
mm, that's
Hmm.
really good. What's the name of it? One more time.
The
The name of
Code
the
of the
book.
Extraordinary Mind.
Okay. What's one shadow pattern you've learned to love in yourself?
Ooh, that's a really good question.
It's a little
I mean,
deeper.
I know, and it's funny because I'm sure tomorrow I'll be like, oh, I should have said this. It'll come to me later. But I guess right now what's coming to me is, I guess, like the oversensitivity, which I kind of mentioned earlier.
Yep, I see.
Instead of being like, oh, like this sucks, like I'm so sensitive, to instead just embrace that as being a good thing. And also,
Amazing.
it teaches me how to protect my energy as well.
Uh, What fuels your morning in Tulum? Is it coffee, cacao, or tea?
I am a coffee lover. I
Yeah. How do
love
you?
my morning coffee.
Yeah. Do you have like a
Yes.
specific type of coffee you like to take?
I just drink my coffee black.
Okay.
I like a hot black coffee, and then maybe later a little bit, not too late in the afternoon though, I'll have like an iced coffee that I like to have with milk.
Okay.
But my morning coffee, which I have after my smoothie because I don't want to have it on an empty stomach, that is something I look forward to every day.
Love it. What's a place in the world that feels most aligned to your specific energy?
So I've never been to Costa Rica, but I've always had this kind of calling
Calling?
to go there, again, since I
Yeah.
was like a small child. So I just have a feeling about it. And I feel like if I go there, I probably might not come back. So
Really?
we haven't gone
Okay.
there yet. For now, it's
Okay.
Tulum. Yeah.
What's the biggest misconception people have about human design?
Oh, about human design. Hmm. I mean, some people are, the whole astrology thing might be like woo
Mm-hmm.
woo or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. I mean, it might not be what most people are used to, but I also like to challenge those people because, if they haven't had a chart reading, they don't know,
Mm.
right? It's like you don't know
Yeah.
until you're exposed to it. And so I've had people who are like, I don't know about this. It seems a little kind of out there for me. And I'm like, just give me 15 minutes. Like, what time were you born? And I type it in and I'll just name a few things that I see in their chart. And most of the time, people are just mind blown. They're like, okay, that's weird. That's very accurate. Like, how do you know this about my life? So it's all in the
Then
chart.
that opens the conversation, and I
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
So I believe most of the places that you travel or live, each environment will have a push and a pull. So you're
Hmm.
currently in Tulum. Let's say for
Mhm.
now, like specifically in the last week or 2 weeks, what's the
Mhm.
biggest push that you've received from Tulum, and what's the biggest pull?
The push. Well, the mosquitoes are extremely nasty right now.
Really? Alex told me about that. Right? He's here, and he said
Goodness.
that mosquitoes are just insane. Is
I
it
think
is it
they're
more
they're
than
pushing
usual?
everybody. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
It's honestly everyone I talk to, I'm like, "What is with the mosquitoes? They seem to be the absolute worst they've ever been right now."
Oof.
So we
Okay.
didn't have very much rain over the summertime. It was a pretty dry summer.
Okay.
And then, yeah, just the last few weeks, there's been a little more rain. So I think that's what's going on, but
Okay.
they are nasty.
Really? Okay.
They're so bad.
What's one pull about Tulum that is really, just pulling you in every day?
Cool. So, I mean, again, I've been in the house a lot, like taking care of my cat these days. But when I
Mm-hmm.
do get out there and just like even just going for a bike ride or a scooter ride, I smell this big like smoke of
Copal, yeah.
copal smoke. And I'll
Yeah.
hear like the jungle beats and I'm like, oh
Yeah.
yes, like
This is
I
it.
forgot about this and I love this part
Yeah.
of Tulum.
Yeah. It's so unique. That smells always bring me back to Tulum.
So
Um,
good.
what's your go-to song or sound that shifts your mood instantly currently?
Ooh. So in the morning, I use music a lot for
Okay.
kinda all times of the day. Like, I have a sleep playlist that I've been playing for probably 6 years now.
Okay.
Every single night, all night while I sleep, it's like a
Wait,
f
all
sleep
night?
all night. Yeah, it's a sleep
Really?
frequency.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know like the specific frequency?
I think it's 528 hertz.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's a whole playlist that goes through these different I guess you
Okay.
could call them songs. It's just it makes me instantly sleepy when I put it on.
And
So
Jonathan is cool with that? Like your boyfriend
well,
is
yeah, we
he
discovered this
rocks it?
years ago, and we both are like, "Wow, I can't sleep without this now." Like, it's
Really?
just really it
It
just
just
puts you into
plays on
that
your
state.
phone, or like what do you like on a speaker?
Yeah, on the phone, yeah, and I
Okay.
turn my phone onto, like, airplane mode at night
Yeah. And
because
you
I don't want the
downloaded the
EMFs.
songs? Yeah,
Yeah,
for
it's all
sure.
downloaded, we just hit
Okay.
play, and all the cats, we get all sleepy, and then we have a nice sleep,
Okay.
and in the morning, I wake up and I turn on the handpan. That's been my, like, go-to these
Okay.
days because
Okay.
it kinda shifts, like, it's still a little bit slower and calm
Like a little
'cause I
bit
don't want something that's
uplifting.
yeah, I don't want the uplifting yet. right?
Yeah.
So we'll do the hand pan, have the smooth, like do the skincare, smoothies, coffee, and then we'll be like, okay, let's kind of get going. And I honestly don't even follow a lot of like specific artists. So I probably couldn't even tell you like a name or a song because I just have like these playlists that are on Spotify, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I have like a kind of chill Tulum one,
Yeah.
and it's just got the like tropical, not super upbeat, but I really love that music.
Amazing. So I'm,
The
I'm
Tulum, yeah,
handpan and frequencies. If
yeah.
you could give yourself one somatic exercise, what would it be? Sorry, if you could give your younger self one somatic exercise, your younger self, so like 20-year
Ooh,
old Martina, what would that be?
20-year-old. I mean, yeah, for me, it usually comes back to the breath.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I used to just it's like my nervous system was always like heightened, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had like a hyperthyroid issue.
Okay.
So just being like hyperactive all the time. So that's where for me the breath is like it just brings my energy back into like a calm state because I can get really easily like overwhelmed or stressed out by things that might not be so stressful for other people.
Mm.
So yeah, if I had known about the
Breath
breath,
work.
like breath work
Yeah.
back then, because I've used
Yeah.
that so many times, it just becomes like an automatic habit now. Like whenever I feel myself, like something happens where it kind of like puts me into that alert mode, I just find myself like, okay, deep breath, calm down. It's so powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could agree more honestly with the breath work. I have one more question for you, Martina.
Hmm.
It's a little bigger question, but what's the legacy you hope your work leaves in this world?
I just want people to love and appreciate themselves more.
Mm,
That's ultimately my mission.
I
Yeah.
love
I
it.
want people to stop comparing to other people, and being like, "Oh, I should be more like this," or I should, you know, it's like we can appreciate someone else for what they're doing and not feel like we have to be like that, but to just like
Yeah,
admire and go like, "Wow, good for them." And then
yeah,
I I might not be like that, but I love this about myself instead. So it's
totally.
kind of like appreciating our own qualities and each other's as well, but that self-love is like it starts there.
Well, I love it. I love it so much, guys. Martina, thank you so much for being here today and taking the time and sharing your wisdom and all your, so many years of educating yourself and being in practice. And I've learned a lot. I've always learned a lot when I have these conversations with you. Very inspiring, guys. I hope that you've appreciated this podcast. Human design is something that shifted a lot personally when I've met with Martina many years ago, but we actually I did my first session with her early this year. And for me, this year was very transformative, best summer of my life, and everything is just really starting to unfold gracefully. And I do believe that knowing more about my human design did help to tap into my best self, and also my energies and how my body works. So for those who are interested in having the full reading and the full experience with Martina, also somatic coaching, I highly recommend. Martina, I know you have a website. Would you mind just sharing a bit more about, if people want to get in touch with you, get to know about all of what we just spoke and deep dive into their journey? How can they find you?
Definitely. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm so glad to hear that it's made an impact for you as well.
Yep,
That's
really did. Yeah.
fantastic. Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my website is alignedwithmartina.com.
Okay.
So I've got some information there. There's like a work with me tab. And so you can kind of read a little bit more about human design. And I work with people who are absolute beginners in the
Yep.
subject as well. Like
Yep.
it doesn't matter if you don't know anything about it. Just show up with an open mind and willing to self-reflect and, just see some different perspectives that could help you just to live in more alignment, with more purpose, with more joy. So the sessions are kind of broken up into 4 phases because there is a lot to unpack when we look at a chart. So each phase is 1 hour. So you can even just start with one phase. Phase 1, the foundations, you're going to learn your energy type, your strategy, your authority, your profile. And that is enough. If you're, again, new to this, it's enough to kind of take that and just practice it in your daily life, let it absorb. And then if you feel ready for phase 2, then we go into your energy centers, which is even more illuminating. Phase 3 is more about, again, finer layers. So we've got your gates and your channels, which I call the superpowers. And those can also reveal some of the shadow traits that you might be carrying as well, and then how to shift out of that. Phase 4, we dive into more of these are kind of like more specific nuances that are really interesting. And it's like a micro shift that can make a huge difference in your life. So there's things like digestion, environment, what motivates you, your unique perspective on the world, which is just really fascinating to unpack for each individual. So those are the 4 phases. I offer them individual, like just, session by session, or if somebody wants to commit to all 4 sessions, you're going to get a little bit of a discount there as well. So that's on the website. And then there's also a contact me link there too. So if you want, that'll go straight to my inbox. If you have any questions, then that's probably the best way to get a hold of me.
Beautiful. And what about social media? Are you on socials? Is there a bit of work that can be seen or done, or what's your
Yeah, you can
handles?
find me
Yeah.
on Instagram as well,
Okay,
at Martina Salling. And I've been a little bit less active there recently.
that's fine.
Again, my cat's been taking a lot of energy, and I would say social media, it's like the first thing that falls off when my life gets busy,
Okay.
you know?
So the website would be a
So,
better way, but people who
yeah,
still want to go and maybe, have a look of on
yeah,
social, the Tulum life, and
for sure. Yeah.
I follow. I know you post also a lot about energy work and coaching. There's a lot to learn from those clips that you post. So Martina
Yeah.
Sailing, amazing,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, go and check
great,
that out. And if you want like a quicker response from me, my email will be something that I check more regularly.
amazing.
Yeah.
Martina, thank you so much, guys. This was a amazing episode with Martina. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like, follow, and subscribe. This podcast means a lot. Definitely goes a long way. And share it to your loved one, your friends. Until next time, peace. Thank you, Martina.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to follow the show and leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts. It really helps us to grow and keep the conversation going. Thanks for listening.